Yeah, peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Aber, aka Mr. Just a Fact. And today, family, we're gonna be having a discussion about, folks trying to debate against the name Freedman. This is kind of crazy. We got a brother that's about to come on. We giving him a chance to look up, just get his sources and stuff together. Because a lot of these people come on, be the power. They be asking for the smoke, and then the next thing you know, they get asphyxiated by it, and they never ever come up to have any references, sources, nothing to back up their claims. Everything centers on their opinions and how they feel about the topic. So make sure y'all hit that like button, fam. If you are new to the channel, subscribe, and then hit that little bell icon next to the subscription button so that you can become a part of the notification nation and be informed every single time we go live. Them YouTube notifications going to pop out. So, we got the bros in the building. Let's, or the BTP is on the deck. Shout out to the Freedmen family. Let's get some shout
Peace.
Peace. Yo, so I'm going to be in and out, though. So, I'm going to be in and out.
Okay, no doubt, bro. Shout out Sister Riri, BTP. Riri is on deck. Peace, Sister Kelly. Was good. XX Sister Fate XX. She's starting it off. She already bringing it. She said Freedmen is what we are. I don't understand the controversy. Ready for the show. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this ain't nothing we made up or have to make up. ADOS Roots said, what up, fam? I think Freedmen Roots might be a better name, fam. The Syndicate, peace and love to the Freedmen. Coop Farilla, Freedmen first, do your research. Sister Shanna Kim, good morning, sis. Good morning. Well, good afternoon over here on the East Coast. Valo Cross said, peace to the Freedmen. Peace, fam. So, we were in the clubhouse room last night. Me, Logic, and Ali, and there's a group from the hashtag acronym movement. They're stragglers, right? They're not recognized by that group's leader at all, but they just can't seem to detach themselves from the teat, if you will. And I think people took offense to the fact that we created a clubhouse room, based on us saying why we must use the term freedman and not ADOS. And that goes to the ADOS roots' comment. I feel it, but I'm not changing my name over a beef. I'm a freedman, though. So let me say what I said yesterday. I said this thing, freedman, is not about the beef. And we broke down how American descendants of slavery is too broad of a term because the leaders of the hashtag acronym movement has said all along, right? Well, not all along, they started to switch after a while, that the S in ADOS stands for slavery. That's what they said. And when asked for more detail, they said the institution of slavery. Well, the institution itself comprises of slave masters, the financiers,
Banks.
the banks, the insurance companies from New York that indemnify these plantation owners, the people that created, as Josh called, mortgage on our back securities. So that comprises the whole of the, you know, institution. So for
Facts.
me, if and for those that want to use it, I mean, we who's gonna force you to use the term freedman? We're not. We're just saying what makes sense. And you know, we had a lot of we had a powerful room yesterday. Peace, brother Gerard Ibn Lamont, Sleeping Omics, said the logic for using
Yo,
the term freedman is
real quick,
sound. Go ahead, bro.
yo, what's funny is like the demand for specificity was a unified position. So, but
Mm-hmm.
now when you get more specific, right? So this is where disingenuousness is being revealed. Y'all didn't really want specificity. You wanted to be a part of a clique, right? So the brother said, "I'm a Freeman, but I'm not changing my name from ADOS." What kind of psychology is that? What's going on in a person's mind who says, I am about a movement that's rooted in lineage, but I'm not going to actually connect myself to the federally recognized lineage that was established as a protected group here in America, who fought the Civil War, who organized before the Civil War was even waged, right, to free people. The freedmen, right, the fugitives from justice, later to be known as the freedmen, who set up your Underground Railroad, who liberated our brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, aunties and uncles and cousins, and all of that. We did that. The freedmen did that. We got all of the receipts, all of the evidence, all of the records, and we're going to be disseminating it to the people, you know what I'm saying, every day that we come out here, right? And we urge you to learn your own history. It's not the government. It doesn't matter what you want to call yourself in that terms of what it is you want to do, your own liberty, right? The government has already established the first, and we can prove without a shadow of a doubt. We have all the freedmen was the first federally established protected class in this country. We are a
Facts.
specific category of families that have specific history. But the problem and the disconnect is you don't know your history, and you want to do the work avoidance and try to stay away from the dedication it takes to actually study. You don't really want to study. You just want people to go do the work, come out with hot shit that you can repeat in other
That's
spaces
what they
to
doing
make
on
it look like
Clubhouse
you
right now.
know. Yeah.
That's what
So
they
to
doing
make it
on
look like you
Clubhouse.
got the knowledge, but you don't got the knowledge though. We're trying to develop an education, a freedman education, so that you can speak loftily and in depth about your legacy and your lineage. You understand? But like if you understand that if you were once a slave, and all y'all have a consensus on that, then you have to be a freedman because chattel slavery, without doubt, contradiction, was abolished. You understand? So you have, according to the federal definition of the word, the congressional definition of the word, you are a freeman whether you accept it or not. But all of your problems can only be solved through the freeman political identity, and the proof is there.
That's right. So, brother Ali want to bring some up. So, bro, he basically said he can't change it on YouTube. He said it's not that serious. I
All
mean,
right, no doubt.
yeah,
Look,
let's pull this up, brother Ali. But that bro rock with us. He rock with
no
us.
doubt.
He cool.
Peace to the family there, man. We just communicating. So this is from the National Park Services, right? Lincoln's proclamation to establish a Bureau of Colored Troops. Right. And so I'm just going to scroll down to what he says specifically about the Freedmen. This is something that I had tweeted out, got a lot of retweets and likes and stuff like that on Twitter. Um, Lincoln, in regards to the people of the status of freedmen. This is what he said in 1865. President Lincoln said, without the military help of the black freedmen, the war against the South could not have been won. Could not have been won. I'm going to stop sharing it. This is part of the nationalparkservice.gov website, history and culture. All right. So understand the importance of the people known as freedmen and what they mean to this very existence of this thing called the United States of America. Without the freedmen, the United States probably wouldn't even exist.
So I
Probably
got a
wouldn't even
question in the
exist.
chat real quick. Somebody said, is Moorish freedmen adequate, right? I mean, look, Moorish is an identifier. And I want to say, because somebody brought that up last night on Clubhouse, I'm a Moor. I'm not going to
Yes,
stop being a Moor.
let's address that too, Abba, because last night somebody said something in the clubhouse room about us being more. Wasn't they Moors? And they're
Wasn't they
just a bunch of
Moors?
chameleons. They called us chameleons and stuff. You and Logic should go and go if Logic can
Yo,
go and go in on that.
that's the ramblings of the ignorant. You understand? We never have chameleoned anything. We never stop being Moors. Nobody can prove that we're not Moors. None of
That's
you
right.
ignorant, unlearned. I'm trying to hold myself together because it's the way in which you all try to speak as if though you have proved yourself proficient in the knowledge. You don't know what a Moor is. You don't know who's a Moor or what that even means. But you want to say y'all were Moors. We never stopped being Moors. It's
right.
out of my control. I can't change the fact that I'm a Moor. But you understand that particular part of the conversation is irrelevant and it's not germane to the specific civil rights justice work that we're doing right now. But when it becomes relevant, we can speak in depth about that too. You understand? But the problem
Facts.
is too many people don't know what they're talking about and they're doing all the talking. You need to do more studying because you're loud and ignorant. You understand? You cannot prove with facts and documentation and history and scholarship, anything that you're talking about. And you definitely can't prove up anything. So just sit back and relax and get some education. Why are you so against progress? You understand? Why are you so against refinement?
Who need to
We
be
never
asking
stop
questions.
being more. You need to be asking more questions, yes. Because I never stopped being a Moor, but I'm
That's
not.
right.
That's not what we're here teaching today. We're
That's
teaching
right.
freedom, civil rights, justice work. And just like I don't have no control over whether I'm a Moor or not, I don't have no control that I'm a freedman. I was born a freedman. I was born a Moor. But you don't know that they was calling the freedmen Moors too, because you don't know your history. You don't know they was calling Hiram Revels a Moor. You don't know that they was calling Prince Rivers a Moor because you don't even know who Hiram Revels and Prince Rivers are, because that's the legacy of the freedmen. See, we can go in every angle on this thing, but you have to be really sincere in wanting to know the facts. And a lot of y'all just don't have no sincerity. You wear the face of sincerity well, but hidden deep within your breast is hearts of hypocrites.
That's right. That's right. So I want to pull up something real quick because we got somebody that's coming to debate in the Freedman. He's waiting patiently, but we had to talk our talk real quick. But let me pull up something real quick. No, matter of fact, let's do this, man. Come on.
Peace to the family, y'all. Peace.
And shout out to
Peace.
our brother Grim for putting us on to this image right here. So y'all know how we do. So let's pull it up, because I mean, more ain't something that we're making up. It just represents our ancient lineage that we just happen to know about, right? So let's share this real quick. I want to share something real quick, because I guess they think that means something, like we just
Right.
switched up from being one thing. Nah, y'all got it wrong, and y'all got us confused, obviously, right? So this picture is of Jefferson Davis. This is of Jefferson Davis, and that's Hiram Revels sitting there.
Highland Rebels, right?
One of the men you see in my background to the left of me. I think y'all's right? So that's him sitting there. So we need to read what this caption says. Let's blow this up some. This is in Harper's Weekly. Harper's Weekly published a lot of.
What year was that, bro? What do you
This
tell us?
is
Said this.
1870, April 9th,
Okay, good.
1870. Okay, time works wonders. Yago.
Make it bigger if you can.
Okay, let's make that bigger.
Yeah,
Okay, so matter of fact, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna full screen it as well.
exactly. I want these people to see this.
That's
I want
right.
them to see it.
It says, for time works wonders. Yago, Jeff Davis, for that I do suspect the lusty Moor hath leaped into my seat, the thought whereof doth like a poisonous mineral gnaw at my inwards, right? So, those people knew who we were. So a part of the suppression of our people was based on that fact. It was based on that fact that we're going to completely crush them. We're going to stamp them out of history, and they will be what we create: Negroes, blacks, and colored folks, purely creatures of our.
And
Wait, hold
let me
on,
say
bro.
this real quick before I gotta go.
All right,
I gotta get
ahead,
off
bro.
real quick. Let me say this real quick.
Go ahead, bro.
It just what y'all are doing is using it as a negative, just like our enemies have always done. Jefferson Davis was an enemy, and trying to use more as a derogatory comment or to make the public disagree with them. Right? That's the same thing y'all are doing now. You have Confederate minds. And think and act like Confederates. They did the same thing to Prince Rivers when they called him the radical blackamoor. That's what y'all are calling us now, the radical black Moors. You're doing the same thing Jefferson Davis and the Confederates did, because deep down, that's what's in your heart and that's what's in your mind. Still haven't deconfederatized, and I'll be back. I gotta go.
Facts.
That's right.
Facts.
So,
come on,
okay,
man.
Real quick. Let's read from the Bloody Shirt. We just did a book club on this, right, fam? So let us read from the Bloody Shirt. This is page 251. The story, as the stalwart Augusta Chronicle told it, was that 7 years earlier, Prince R. Rivers, quote unquote, radical blackamoor, John Woolley, radical scallywag, ex-Speaker of the House, Samuel J. Lee, and the others had all been on a scheme to get a kickback on the purchase of the site for a new courthouse in Aiken County. So, the rest of that is about history and how the devil always lies. They always make up lies. But the fact is, they call right here on page 251 of the Bloody Shirt, Prince Rivers, the radical blackamoor. See, y'all can't mess with us on none of this information, which is why these people decided that they was going to start cursing us out last night, talking whole bunch of tough street talk. You got dudes changing their profile pictures from back when they was like maybe a runner in a gang or something like.
Yo, the dude put up a picture of somebody holding a BMF chain. I'm like, I guess because BMF is on TV, because it's on TV, it's supposed to mean something at this point. Like, none of us live in Detroit, man, so I don't know what that was supposed to be. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We got a question. Avery says, "What about the claims that the Freedmen Bureau was established by white racists?" Who wants to touch that?
Let me say something real quick.
All right, go ahead, Josh.
If that was the case, then why, when we read from the Bloody Shirt, would they want to give us a protected status. The Confederates and the ex-Confederates who just got whooped in the war, their whole point was to take away our protections so they could re-enslave us and subjugate us or kill us at whatever at their whim. So the freedman status is a protected status. The Freedmen's Bureau was not put in, it was put in place to give us some form of protection, to make sure that we had some type of bridge from enslavement to accessing America.
Exactly. And you know what's funny about that? It's interesting. I kind of had a similar conversation recently about the racist views or opinions or sentiments, really, of certain white people. My thing is this: black folks that are not manufacturers of anything, black folks who are not owners of anything in this country, who have to go and get employment from white people who are or could be very well be racist, have to go and purchase your food from producers and manufacturers who very well could hold racist sentiments. You have to go and purchase your clothes and your automobiles and your homes from people who could very well hold racist sentiments. What's in a person's chest, what's in a person's heart, what's in their mind is not something that we can control. Our issue and the thing that we're talking about is the status of freedmen and what that meant to our people in this country historically. That's what we should be concerned with, not necessarily what's in the hearts of an individual here or there or whatever the case is. I don't know nothing about what was in the minds of those people. What I do know is what they produced and what it meant for our folks and what it was supposed to do during the Reconstruction period in terms of putting us in the right space as American citizens. That's what I do know.
Indeed. So we got another question, and we're going to answer this question. Then we're going to bring Antonio Alfred L. on, who wants to debate against this term freedman. Okay, so Sister Kelly asks, how do we combat the fact that using freedmen will not discount the justice claim since freedmen descend from slaves? Freedman covers that too. Am I right? Please advise. Or let me say yes.
Yes, you're right.
Very term. That's right. The very term freedman itself, I mean, it gives you every indication that it is a action, right? That happened after some event, slavery. Right? So the people that's arguing against it,
are retarded. Come on, man. They're retarded. You already know. Kelly, you know what time it is, man. These people are retarded, right? It's the same retards that had a problem with the word reparationist. Okay.
That's right.
They're retarded, right? That's not even these are not real arguments. These are just retarded Bozo the Clown sideshows that are being put on and produced by these rejects from the ADOS movement.
And so, a matter of fact, let's share this before we bring the brother on. I mean, we just got mounds and mounds and mounds of information. Brother Ali has been up all morning.
What's that right there?
This is a letter by Frederick Douglass.
Can you make it bigger, bro?
The Freedmen. Let's see if we can make it bigger without pixelating it. What year was this written in again, Ali? Do you remember?
This is on the this is a part of the Frederick Douglass papers in the Library of Congress. The one thing they didn't have was the publication date or the date that he actually, because this was a part of a written speech. The speech was written out and he gave this speech somewhere, but they didn't have the date of the speech or when this particular paper was written. So, but it is a part of like I said, the Frederick Douglass papers is in the Library of Congress.
Shout out to Brother Prime, aka Michael Jordan, in the building. So there was a sister in my inbox. She was also a part of that group last night. I just call them the stragglers, right? And she came in our room last week, basically trying to challenge us. But one of the things that she was saying was, I think she said something to the effect of Frederick Douglass didn't use the term freedman or something like that. Like Frederick Douglass was a freedman. Like he was over the Freedmen's Bureau.
I mean, come on, man. He was the president of the Freedmen's Bank.
He was the president of the bank. I'm like, what are you talking about? And now we have a whole handwritten. This is a part of a speech, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a letter. It was a handwritten speech. Ali, did it have any transcription?
Hold on, let me see some. I think it does have the
Yeah,
transcription. Let
you
me
know, we'll
just.
look into that. We'll look into that and see if and then read that. So I'm gonna stop sharing this. All right, let's bring our guest on,
Yeah.
Antonio Alfred L, who he's I mean,
He has a problem with
yeah, he has
Freedmen.
a problem with the term freedman.
That's funny.
Let's
That's
see.
funny.
Let me
Can you
see if
hear?
I
Can
can
I
just.
be heard?
Yeah, we can hear you. And
Okay.
you can introduce yourself. Matter of fact.
I'm just a seeker of truth, man. You know,
No doubt.
and I just want to say, our initial, contact, it's all me asking questions, trying to get to the bottom of what's the best route to go.
Hmm.
And the brother who had to leave a little early, he had said something, we all should ask more questions. And that's really what I was doing, was basically trying to see what is going to have material benefits for our people.
Hmm.
And
I'm gonna
I
pull
know,
your
I
I'm gonna
know,
pull your comment up. Go ahead, bro. While you talking.
yeah,
That's you right there. Truth be loved. You said you haven't shown any proof or benefits that you have gained from walking around as a freedman. What happens after you claim freedom? So,
yes,
right, let's build on that real quick.
I appreciate that.
You know, so you're a Moorish brother, correct? Because I can tell
Yes.
by the L. Because we're Moorish brothers too.
Are we all? Our blood,
Well, some
our
people
blood
some
is
people
mixing
don't
it all.
some people don't recognize it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I concede that I'm a Moor, but that's where it stops. When it comes to any
That's right.
association with any group or
That's
political
right.
or social group or whatever.
That's right. So, as a let me tell you what benefits we've had as freedmen. Being that you asked that specific question, we had a bank, we
Hospital.
had a we had a hospital, we had a mutual aid societies, we had we had a lot. There are over 3.5 million freedmen records that are housed right now in the digitized library on ancestry.com. Right. So, I mean,
Not only that, bro. Let's look at the accomplishments of those people who are actual freedmen that have been classified as Negroes, blacks, colors. The same thing that Drew Ali was talking about, because Drew Ali himself was a descendant of freedmen and women, right? He wasn't an immigrant, so his family came through that institution of chattel slavery, just like the rest of us. So here's what's interesting about it. When you look at one of his oral sayings, what does he say? To keep certain names, right? Because there is a birthright in it. The European name, there's a birthright in the name. If I'm saying that correctly, he also has said that at a certain point, the European was going to have to pay our people off for what they did to them during slavery and pay off in compounded interest. Now, these are the oral sayings, right? Some people take that stuff with a grain of salt. Maybe he said it, maybe he didn't. But if he did say that stuff, he was right and exact about that. He's right and exact about it. But who he's talking about are people who were actually freedmen and women. The
that's
only
right.
people who can be compensated for what happened during slavery are the people who are the freedmen and their descendants, the American freedmen and their descendants. Right. So there is a birthright underneath that. And he actually mentioned that in one of the oral sayings. That's if you believe or take those oral sayings to be true.
But let me just jump in
Go
real
ahead,
quick.
bro.
Brother Antonio Alfred L., are you a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
I haven't paid my dues in over a year, so I kind of
You're an
I,
inactive member, basically.
am an inactive member.
Okay, so which temple are you in? Like, who's your Supreme Grand Sheik, National Grand Sheik, etc.?
Joel Bratton Bay.
Oh, okay. So, as a Moor, because we're very familiar with Joel Bratton Bay and what we call the
Oh yeah.
1320 Moors,
Isn't
right?
isn't isn't Roy Bate a part of
Yeah,
that
yeah.
group?
Roy Bay is a part of
Okay.
them. the more former, what does he call it? The
Moorish
more
Brooklyn.
formerly known as Moorish Brooklyn Intelligence. All of them
Moorish,
guys.
yeah.
I don't know if they
Yeah.
still a part of that, but so we were able to list some of the things that the benefit. Matter of fact, that name Freedman was stripped from us. You commented on one of the other tweets that I did, where I showed the direct quote of Provisional Governor Perry of South Carolina during Reconstruction, saying that they have as long as we don't accept the 13th Amendment, we can't come back into the Union. And they, meaning us, our ancestors, would have the whole military protection. He put in quotation marks under the name Freedman. So as a Moor, let's deal with just your faction, you, Joel, Bratton Bay, etc. What are y'all doing? What have y'all done? How have y'all moved the needle in any way?
They haven't. That's pretty much been my wake-up call of trying to push things to test these laws that they claim that, we ain't supposed to be paying taxes, we're supposed to be X, Y, and Z. I'm saying, well, show and prove it. If you're saying that you can grant citizenship and that you're taking an oath, in front of the original Constitution, what does that gain us? And that's kind of where.
So you just questioning everybody at this point.
Yes.
I can respect that, man. Because look, we've went at Joel, Bratton Bay, and that whole group. This was 2014. My bros and I completely shut them down. They wouldn't even have live one-on-one debates with me. Me and Bratton Bay has been on the phone before. This was a couple years ago when I went to New York, and I went up with me and Roy Bay linked up, and we jumped on the phone. I was schooling him then. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about at all. He's just making up stuff. This idea.
Yeah, I don't want to bash the brothers.
No, you're not. But we are. Chill. We got this. Hold on. No. This BTP, bro. We are focused. Chill. Just chill.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we had to do in that whole situation was shut that brother down and shut that stuff down that he was saying, and showing that it wasn't linked to anything that Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who founded the Moorish movement, worked at all. Somebody said, can you provide the source that Abraham Lincoln called the colored troops freedmen, and the reason Perry put the term in quotes is because he didn't agree with the term?
The reason Perry put the quote in term?
The general, the Perry one is in the bloody shirt.
Yeah, get this book right here. Read it all the time, so you'll find that one. Ali, you have that quote?
Yeah,
if you look in, just Google, I mean, if you can pull it up, Ali, but you can find that quote in a whole lot of places, right? I was looking for it one day. I found it on like the African American Civil War Museum. They have it. I think it's in somewhere in DC or Maryland or something like that. But you can find this quote all over the places, and it's not like an obscure thing.
That's a fact.
I think that work was trying to be antagonistic, and it's all good.
But
we love antagonism.
Man. Yeah, man, because it's real. It's not like it would be different if we were making things up. Then it would feel funny, like, oh, this guy. Listen, what we're saying, if you have a question about it, ask. If you think that it's BS, look it up. I can tell you what it is. I can give you a link for it. Like Josh said, you can actually Google it and find it in multiple places. And these are real sources. It's not like even the places where you're gonna, like you said, the Civil War, the African American Civil War Museum. I got it actually from a government website is where I got it from, regarding different pieces from Lincoln. So you can find it in different places. And as far as Governor Perry, listen, there were Confederates who did not like the fact that freedmen were being protected. So it doesn't matter if he didn't agree with it. It's almost like Justice Taney, who didn't agree with Justice Curtis. It doesn't matter, because a lot of these people who were making these statements were racist, right? And so what we have to figure out is, in history, what side are you standing on? Are you standing on the side of the racists, the Confederates, or do you stand on the side of the freedmen and who were fighting for freedom, justice, and equality? Which side of this thing are you on? And if you want to stand on the side of the Confederates just to fight against us, then that says something about you and your character and your
No, can
psychology.
you just pull it up, Ali? And I'm gonna share it. But so
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Yeah, because we got that work person that's being answered. I think I know who that is or where this person comes from, what group he rolls with. But I mean, hiding behind a little screen. Everybody know who we are. We ain't gotta hide behind no cartoon images, whatever. So Antonio Alfred L. So what's your issue with the term freedman?
I think we kind of misunderstand each other a little bit. My issue is not with the name Freedman. My issue is the advocacy on your part to solicit to our people that by claiming Freedman, you're going to get some type of protection.
So
And
you think that's what I'm doing, basically?
I'm asking, well, I don't know. That's why I ask questions. What are the tangible benefits? If I turn around and say that I'm a freeman or that you're a freeman, that you can establish today, that's going to actually benefit us as a people.
Well, you know what Otis likes to talk about. Otis uses the term work avoidance, right? Work avoidance. And one of the things that we don't want to do is get into work avoidance by way of questioning everything. And, we know that our people were freedom fighters. That's a part of our culture. Freedom fighters. Even Drew Ali, on a certain level, was trying to get people to a certain place, and he was doing that through certain works and deeds. So we know that it's not just about proclaiming anything, that it is also about works and deeds. They say faith without works is dead, right? There's wisdom in that. I'm not no Christian, but there's wisdom in that. Right. And so we got to take the wisdom out of things and then also hold those things dear and then move with that stuff too. Faith without works is dead. So we can put our faith in the Moorish movement, but if there's no work there towards freedom, justice, and equality, then that whole thing is dead. And we know that thing has been dead for since Drew Ali passed away himself. That thing hasn't produced anything, nothing of substance. Right. So at the end of the day, the people who did produce things in this country were those people who were freedmen descendants. Actual facts. Actual facts. It takes work, though. It takes works, though. It's not just about what name you call. You can call yourself whatever you want, but if you don't do nothing, you're not going to get nothing. Nothing comes like that.
So that was kind of my question is, what is the objective of this movement?
Oh, I got you, bro. I got you. Just give me 1 second.
What are the protections are we gonna have? Because
I got you, bro. I got you. Give me 1 second. 1 second, real quick. Let me put this link in the chat real quick. These guys are they love to be antagonistic, and we don't say nothing that we can't back up. You would think that people who've come to this channel would have realized that by now. But let's read this quote. Matter of fact, let's see where I just put the link in the chat, but let's see where this is coming from. NPS.gov, History and Culture. This
African American Civil War Memorial.
Yep, the African American Civil War Memorial. History and Culture, Lincoln's proclamation to establish a quote-unquote Bureau of Colored Troops. It says, by supporting the Union, slaves and free blacks. I got some background noise. By supporting the Union, slaves and free blacks living in the North and South courageously advanced the cause of freedom for more than 4 million enslaved people, right? So our people fought to liberate us. Don't ever let nobody tell you, especially no white folk, them neo-Confederates today, tell you our people fought the Civil War to free y'all. No, we fought our own Civil War to free us. It says the African American Civil War Memorial commemorates the military service of hundreds of thousands of Civil War era African American soldiers and sailors. Etched into stainless steel panels of the memorial are names identifying 209,145 United States colored troops who responded to the Union's calls to arms. In 1865, President Lincoln said, quote, "Without the military help of the black freedmen, the war against the South could not have been won." So, you know, when people just say, I don't know, man, it is what it is. But we just read it. I put the link in the chat. Hopefully that person will read it and do some more research. So I want to get back to what Brother Antonio Alfred L is talking about. Have you visited our website, BeThePower.org?
I have.
Okay, so
Need to go through the 12 points.
Have you read the 12-point program?
I'm not familiar with it. I didn't refresh myself before coming on, but I did read your memos underneath your face, what your purpose of creating the website was. That's what I read.
Okay, so there were a series of records, brother, that were established during the Reconstruction period. In those records, provisions to make us whole citizens were laid out in clear, certain terms. Allocations of money, allocations of land, some of which we've read right here on this platform. The reason why we created the 12-point program was so that we can begin the process of resurrecting those policies for America's very first protected class. Let me mute you real quick till you're ready to talk. I just hear a lot of feedback, brother. So number one, for instance, says, by way of the 13th Amendment in 1865, our enslaved American ancestors were freed from private bondage nationally. Congress passed the Freedmen's Act of 1865 and 1866 on behalf of those ancestors then identified as freedmen. As their direct descendants, we demand to be recognized by the federal government, its Office of Management and Budget, and its federal directive as freedmen. Why? There was a pastor when we did the Freedmen's Rally for Juneteenth. He leaned over to me before it was his turn to speak. I think his last name was Slaughter, Reverend Slaughter, I believe it was. He said, you know that term freedman? He said, it's so specific because you know exactly who's being talked about. Our issues in America, number one, are compounded, and they're also conflated with other groups that have come from other places whose net worth trumps our net worth, right? So for instance, Nigerian Americans, median net worth is $68,658. We're working on a bill right now. Ghanaian Americans' net worth is $69,000. I'll just round them off. Trinidadian and Tobagonian Americans, $62,120. Jamaican Americans, $62,000. Kenyan Americans, $61,000. Haitian Americans, $57,000. But when it comes to us, our number is $46,000, right? Now, we don't know if they're still adding in these people who, according to Federal Directive 15, are still classified as black. So this is where the distinction comes in that. So now when we have distinction, we can address the Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders got together and they distinguished themselves from other citizenry. And they were able to get a bill passed off of the false premise that black people were attacking Asians, right? Japanese Americans in 1989, the Civil Liberties Act of 1989 received reparations from the United States government. All Asians didn't receive reparations, just the group that was harmed. Chinese didn't receive it. Koreans didn't receive it. So once we resurrect this term, we know exactly who's being talked about. So now we could place focus and emphasis on that sliver of, and I don't even want to say sliver, because we make up the majority of quote unquote black people in the United States of America. So this is why we have to do this. This is what we believe moves us forward. That coupled with our other plan of radical federalization, which is having half of our people move back down to the South so that we could have numerical majorities in the states, run freedmen politicians, freedmen candidates that is speaking exactly what we're talking here today for our people. This is an actual plan, and this is an actual doable plan. Freedmen helps us with that. Again, brother, there are 3.5 million records about the freedmen in the United States of America. And yet, it is only now, since we have resurrected this term last year in 2020, that it's becoming a thing. This history was buried from us. We are doing what the Moors wanted to do, what Noble Drew Ali wanted to do. Under our legal name in the United States of America, we can achieve that goal. Unmute yourself, brother.
I smell something. All right, can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
All right. Again, I'm not saying that the name Freedman didn't in the past work for our people. I'm saying today it's a step in trying to ask for something no different than any other group. And that's your political aim, is to enact something that's dead today. And for me, I'm looking at, you said, I'm looking at different things, because one thing I respect about Ice Cube is that in that plan for Black people, he put in there Native Americans. He got criticized for it. But one thing he said was he didn't want to shut off the door to possible things owed to us through the government, them leaving a wiggle room. And that's kind of where I'm at with it as well, because you call it delusionalism to claim that we are any way tied to Native Americans of this land. When you look at the Freedmen Bureaus, it says formally established the Freedmen Bureaus of refugees, freedmen, and abandoned lands. So the lands you're talking about abandoned, and then
Wait, let's stop there. So you said the lands I'm talking about abandoning, or that were abandoned?
yes.
Okay, so what about those lands?
The people coming out of slavery, they established something for them to give, I guess, for that specific group of people. They're associated with the abandoned lands. All these supposed Native American tribes that they claim were wiped out, disappeared, or whatever. I'm saying that we all mixed in together. I'm saying it's just not just one particular group. Yes, they created a new people. We call ourselves Black, Negro. Even in the act, the Bureau of Colored Troops, they called us colored. They called us many names. But I'm looking at federal protection status. They have more in there under the Eastern tribes on the racial codes.
No,
Can
that's
you
false.
but wait, can you bring that up, bro, and then share it on the
Yeah.
screen?
Matter of fact,
I would like to see that.
let's see that. My bad. I should have just said that's false. Let's bring that up. Let's see if you could share that. And for the record, those Native American, the blacks in those Native American tribes are called freedmen. Chickasaw
Right.
freedmen,
And,
Choctaw
and
freedmen, Seminole
Yes.
freedmen.
let me just add on a little bit about the Delaware, quote unquote, Delaware Moors, right? The interesting thing about the Delaware Moors, quote unquote, as they're called, is that there's a history to them that alleges that they descend from a Moroccan and a European woman. The one thing that we know about the Delaware Moors is that they're a quote unquote triracial group of people, meaning like many freedmen. Many freedmen are multi quote unquote racial if you're going to deal with racial constructs. So freedmen would be part African, part European, and part Indian. A lot of freedmen are that, right?
Yeah.
Native Indian meaning Native American. But the thing about the Delaware Moors is there's an article from 18, I believe it was like 1891 was published where one of the members and his wife uh, was interviewed for a paper coming out of, I think, Pennsylvania. And they were talking about that the name Moor as it relates to their tribe was actually misleading and they don't really consider themselves Moors. It's kind of a part of their origin myth, right? They don't know whether actually they came from a Moroccan or not. There's no real proof of that. That's a part of their origin story. But the man who was a part of the tribe, he says they are Lenape Indians. That's what they consider themselves, Lenape. And they were a part of the great Lenape nation that spanned from Kent County into New York, a certain portion of New York. They don't really consider themselves Moors, and to this day, they don't really use that name. That's an antiquated name for them. But go ahead. I want to see these federal protections you were talking about.
Let me add something, man. You know what I'm saying? When I try to analyze people's positions, I just want to know, what are we talking about, man? Like, make it make sense. When we articulate what we're doing, connecting ourselves to freedmen and our civil rights just work that we're doing here and our plight, I don't understand how we get into these conversations where we're talking about, but what about the Moors, and we're really this and we're really that. There's literally a gargantuan amount of sources and documentation of our actual family members. We don't have to guess. Like I said on this show many times, my oldest ancestor on my mother's side was born in 1834 as a slave on the Purdue plantation, you understand, in Georgia. She was emancipated and was recognized as a freedman and experienced some of that protection under the policies, under the freedmen protection policies that came after abolition of slavery. What do you need to say? What are we talking about Moors for? Even if in her heritage and in her background, there's a Moorish element that has nothing to do with the freedman story of America in regards to the policies that followed and the protection and the attacks. The targeted harm was to the freedmen. So it's a deviance talk about Moors. That's a drift. That it's not focused. We're talking about specific harm that was done to a specific group of people, and the adversaries, the victimizers, called those freedmen. Who were those people? That's what we're uncovering. Those people were our family members, our uncles, cousins, mothers, grandfathers, etc. Right? So we have a real legislative history of accomplishments and tragedies. We have federal language on the books talking about our family. You understand? And so when you're trying to separate your own family members from legislative work and progress that they've already made by saying, no, I don't care what y'all called yourselves in, even y'all fought a war, killed people, died to be recognized as a triumphant name of freedmen. And then the tragedy that followed was done to the freedmen to bury the name and all the accomplishments and how to actually go about doing civil rights justice work in this country. So now we're looking at everything else but what really matters and what has the longest track record of proving to be successful. There's no, so even if you are Moors, the Moors can't stand up, or the Moorish history can't stand up to the legislative progress and the legislative history in regards to civil rights justice work as nobody can. The Freedmen history, and guess what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Laying that point, bro. I got a question, a pressing question to ask the brother, though.
Yeah, and so all I'm saying is, what is the point, brother? That's really what I was saying. All of that just to say, like, what is your point, brother? You have family who were enslaved. Just study their history. They call themselves freedmen because their status changed. You understand? If you're talking about Moorish identity, you should know about status. But if you don't know the history about the fugitives, you know what I'm saying? The escaped slaves who were escaping the criminal enterprise of slavery and were called fugitives and had the status put on them. You don't understand the significance of the freedman status and that status change. There's a lot of studying that needs to be done, but you got to study the right material.
Can I answer his question?
Yeah, I want you to, but I want you to tie your answer into this question because it's
another
important.
question.
Yeah, it's important. What is your family background? Because the brother's logic simply said, look into your lineage and see where your ancestors come from, and then you'll know. Does your family trace themselves back to slavery here in the United States of America?
Absolutely.
So where do you know where? Which state?
Georgia.
In Georgia? Okay. All right. So go ahead.
So you
brother.
got to understand something, man. This you got to understand. I want to answer the brother's question, but let me just say this: you go back 4 generations, you got 64 grandparents. You understand? That's just 4 generations. We are a mixed blood of many different things. I could trace my ancestors back to Bilal Muhammad on Sapelo Island. All right. That's just
tie that
one
into
side of the
civil
family.
rights justice work.
Can I answer your first question? I want to tie it all together.
That's what I'm asking you to do. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
let me
asking you to go through all of the mixed up bloodlines and heritages that you may have.
Right.
What is the point of bringing this identity into the civil rights justice work that we're talking about?
Yeah, I only said that because the brother asked me my family lineage. You guys are peppering me with questions. I just want to methodically go through them. He wanted me to answer that first, so I did. Now I'm going to address you, Logic Supreme Freedman. So to tie it all together, what I'm saying is this. This is point blank. Yes, there's an historical history with those names. It doesn't negate that we can't have a new name because it's going to be the same political fight to get tangibles. And the AAIP didn't exist forever. They got together and created something. All these LBG alphabet communities didn't have nothing. All these trends, they didn't have. You can create an organization and push for what is due to you, no matter what you call yourself based on your family. You can define it. I'm saying that we're letting them define us. They called us freemen, so now we need to go back because that's what they did for us in the past. So that means we're going to do it again. I'm saying it's a new day and a new
brother, I have to interrupt you. That's inaccurate. And a lot of people say that that's what they called us. No. First and foremost, the father of Freedman played us Freedman in many of his speeches and letters, and I'm talking about Frederick Douglass, because he was one of the ultimate, if not the ultimate freedman. He the man who whooped his slave master's ass, escaped, was shackled with the status of fugitive, and then gloriously emerged as a freedman. You understand? It's a title of glory because we're in war, and we won the war. We won the physical battle. The freedmen won. We won the war to free our family members who was in private bondage in the South. So we did that, and landmark legislation was moved because of it. So freedman is not a title some white folks gave to us. Freedman is a title that we fought, killed, and bled and died for. And it's glorious title, and it has policy that has followed it, that has improved our lives. In 1 year, from 1865 to 1866, the freedmen are on record.
You breaking up, bro.
So basically, it's symbolic to the
man gave us this title.
All I'm saying is that
it's
you're
not
saying
symbolic to anything. It's actual fact.
It's symbolism to the name. Fact. That's why we're holding on to it. I'm saying that there's got to be
realism
multiple
to the name.
ways.
There's actualism to the name.
That's right.
There is. I'm not debating that, brother Logic. What I'm telling you is that your advocacy is telling other people, don't do that. Everybody come over here and do this. I'm saying, why shut the doors to everything, right? I respect the name Freeman. I respect the name Moore. I respect the name Nawapian or Native American or however you choose to identify yourself, because the fight is still the same. I,
It can't be the same. Go
We're
ahead, Ali. Go ahead,
reparationists.
Ali.
The reason we use
is it not to
Freedmen.
repair damage done?
Yes, because and see, we're
That's the fight.
reparationists, right? But what the history informs us is that when Reconstruction when Reconstruction started, is where the repair was supposed to take place. Underneath Reconstruction, the people who held the status of freedmen are the people who were supposed to be repaired. 1877, they were abandoned. From that point forward, their descendants had to endure the legacy of Jim Crowism and everything else that came from it. So what we're saying is those same people, we're tying ourselves right back into those very same people that were legislatively recognized by the federal government and various societies across this country under the name of Freedmen Aid Societies, the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Bank, you name it, right? Those same people, those American freedmen, now we're not specifically talking about the Indian five civilized tribes freedmen. We're talking about the original freedmen, who are the American freedmen who were emancipated into poverty and homelessness, and their descendants who had to endure Jim Crowism. These are the people that the United States government cannot forget about by changing their name simply to Black or African American. No, we're going back to the same thing, the same name, and we're going to tie ourselves right back into those people that you abandoned in 1877. That's what this is about. We're
I
trying
understand.
to reconnect to the people they left hanging. That's what we're talking about. So the specificity is what we're dealing with. And I think that's the point that you're missing. The specificity that we're trying to outline. Nuwapian doesn't do that for us. I don't have a problem with you calling yourself Nuwapian either. I don't have a problem with you calling yourself a Moor. You can call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, whatever it is. But those things don't tie you into the people who were legislatively spoken about during the time of Reconstruction. That particular status at that point was freedmen. And that's what we're trying to get the government to remember and to finish the work that was started at that point and sabotaged.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
Reconstruction
It's
was
all in a fight.
overthrown. Reconstruction was overthrown. Go back and watch our last, our book club live stream we did last Tuesday. We broke this stuff down. You gotta understand. See,
Brother,
when
I
you
understand.
wait, hold on, brother.
We're
When you
going past
say
each other.
when you say well, I'm responding to the many critiques you keep putting on my tweets. So that's why we're having this conversation now, right? So when you say Nuwapians, Moors, and I said this yesterday in the clubhouse room, right? And some of the brothers echoed this as well, even the term ADOS, for instance. The fact of the matter is, none of these names, with, of course, the exception of the name Moore, supersedes the term freedman. How we're viewed in America based on ancient lineage like Moore or some made-up terminology that people may want to use today, right? Like a Nuwapian or ADOS, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, those people, whether they recognize themselves as Moors, Nuwapians, ADOS, Hebrew Israelites, whatever, if their ancestors trace back to slavery in the United States of America, who were then freed, hence the term freedmen, hence the term, then all of those people under all of those names are in fact freedmen. This is just an undeniable fact. You can't just say, okay, we should just self-identify, right? And then basically forget the fact that our ancestors
No.
achieved. Well, then I'm confused with where you're
I'm
going.
I'm
Your
trying to explain, but
position seems like it's shifting. But
no,
okay,
brother.
go ahead, brother. Go
Brother,
ahead, brother.
what I'm saying to you is that no matter what we do, right, it's going to be a fight. This is about strategy. I'm saying that you can wake up tomorrow and call yourself, I'm telling you, if ADOS or whatever, any other group got politically big enough, economically powerful enough, they can put forth whatever agenda for their protection that they so choose. I'm saying that we're going to be fighting for our recognitions for protection no matter what we call ourselves. You're saying that it ties back in symbolically to our history. You can create a new group tomorrow to tie your group back to that same history, that you're the same people and fight for what you want. I'm saying that as far as strategy goes, right now, I'm going to email it to you on your Twitter. You can actually, what was the Moor? It was a Native American group down in Oklahoma. They call themselves more Native Americans. I sent the New York Times article to you. They just got federal funded.
All right, wait.
Benefits.
What
Why
did you send it to me?
Today.
Why did you send that to me? Why did you send it to me?
I'm showing you that there are designations that we can get tangible benefits from while still having this same fight for what was done in the past.
Well, where did you send it? Where did you send it to? I didn't receive it.
I'm using my phone right now. Everything is on my phone. If I click to my page, it's gonna go black.
Peep this real quick. The Native Americans who were awarded a portion of the territory of Oklahoma, those weren't Moors, man. Those weren't Moors.
You're right. I just thought of the article. It was Freedmen. Their first name was Freedmen, and then they had a Native American tribe after the name. They were
Naheem, can you put share that link, guys? I just put it in the chat.
Yeah.
I was just going there, bro. That's actually what I was trying to show, that those people are advocating under the name Freedmen because their fight stems from, and their claim is stemming, they tying their claim from now all the way back to 1866. And that's what we're doing, the same exact thing. That's what we're trying to say, bro.
So real quick, Josh, let me ask the brother, why is it something that should work for them and we should abandon and it not work for us?
I'm not saying abandon. I'm saying that your call
so then why should we
everybody
use a
else is
different
wrong
name?
and you're right. I'm saying that your call that everybody else is wrong and that you're right.
Who said that? When did I say
ways
that?
To attack this.
Wait a minute. When did I say that?
That's the way he's viewing what.
Because
what
these
we're
people
saying.
got tangible things today. You haven't shown me what tangible things is going off just being called Freeman that you can get today.
But I explained to you earlier about it, this name being buried and us resurrecting it last year. So there's work that has to be put in. Part of the work is schooling brothers like yourself so that you could abandon some of the ideologies that you have so we could have one more soldier in this fight, because you cannot get around the fact that lawmakers threaten to withhold major funds from native tribes over treatment of descendants of the enslaved.
Keep going. Read it.
Freedmen.
That's not the article, brother. It was the article about medical funding, getting free health care.
Yeah, well, we pulled all of that up right here on BETHEPOWER over the past 2-3 weeks, brother. We pulled it all up. We pulled up the article on Maxine Waters. We pulled the legislation up, matter of fact, that she passed. We pulled it out.
So let's talk about the strategy, because that is a Native American tribe as freedmen getting benefits today, right now, that's already been allocated.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying, why can't that be an option as well?
What option? I mean? We fighting as freedmen. What do you mean? Which option?
I think what you're mistaken is that these people have been advocating as freedmen under the Freedmen banner, for decades and decades. I mean, since 1866, they've been advocating. They never stopped, and they've been under one name all this time. So what we're saying is we have to advocate as freedmen with the Freedmen centered, story, tying ourselves into that time period, and we need to get a large amount of people to actually do the work, put in the work politically, and then go. If you can pull up our 12-point program, pull up the 12-point program, because I think you need to understand that what we need to be asking for, and the work is to put the pressure on the politicians to make sure that these things are done. And part of if you pull up the 12-point program, what you'll see is one of our points is not only just putting pressure on politicians, We're talking about strategically relocating our people back to the South so we can have a numerical majority. So we're not just worried about having to put pressure to see who's going to do something for us. No, we will be in power to present and pressure the rest of Congress as freedmen, reparationist Congress members, governors, city legislators, and all these other government positions will be in a position to move policy forward. So that's not it's not a thing where we're saying that you come underneath the banner of freedmen and it's just going to be magically laws passing in your favor and quote unquote tangibles. No, there's work that has to be put in, just like these people have been putting in work for a long time. They didn't just get something just because they're talking about freedmen. They had to be putting in work for a long time. So we got to put in the work too. But
This is
it's
why we have a
hard when
listening.
if everybody is operating under a different set of advocacy, a different set of principles, and people using different stories, and it's just chaos. We're trying to get people centered on specific
Yes,
things.
that's the word. Chaos.
Yeah, I'm not
Chaos.
looking for
That's the
chaos, brother.
problem.
I'm looking for tangible results and not another 50, 100-year fight when I'm looking at
I'm
other
with you. I'm with
freedmen
you.
today getting benefits, and I'm posing the question: why can't we identify as a Native American tribe, but as freedmen,
Because we're
and
not Native
with benefits
American
already
tribes, bro.
allocated that we can
Because we're
actually
not
see?
Native American tribes. That's why we don't advocate as that. Like, I don't understand what's so hard to understand about
And
that.
Yeah,
Those
these
understand the
people.
relationship. Can I say something, Josh, real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Understand the relationship between those semi-sovereign nations uh, who have treaty relationships with the United States. There's a different type of relationship between the federally recognized tribes and those of us who are American citizens and nationals of the United States. It's a different kind of relationship, right? So you're not going to make the United States acknowledge you as a Native American tribe. They've already made it very clear that they're no longer dealing in treaty relationships with any new nations of American Indians or any of that stuff like that. So we'll never be able to make that kind of relationship with them. That's what that stuff is based on. It's based on their treaty relationships with the United States as federally recognized tribes. That's not what we are. We're actual citizens and nationals of the United States of America. Those people are sort of like citizens. They're citizens. They were made citizens in 1923 by the Indian Citizenship Act, etc. But that's not the same thing. We have a different status in this country. We have a more I would say a superior status as citizens and nationals of the United States.
That's right. So I mean, we're not gonna claim Native American tribe. That's escapism. That's a way to try to run from the fight. Josh, you wanted to say something, bro?
I was just gonna kind of say something similar to what Ali was saying. Like, I understand, like, we're trying to be strategic and we're trying to find a strategy that work. I understand that sentiment, but the reality is, we have to come where it's like sound history. These people that you see that are operating as Cherokee freedmen, Choctaw freedmen, that's because they are descendants of people who were enslaved by members
Right.
of that tribe. These people were, the American freedmen fought in the Civil War to whoop the Confederates, and who let's understand who the Confederates were. Part of the Confederacy was also the Choctaw, the Chickasaw, the Creek, the Seminole, and the Cherokee. They fought alongside with the Confederates, so they were part of that. And so what that means, we whooped them too, and we whooped the former slave masters of the people that's operating as Cherokee freedmen, Choctaw freedmen, etc. So, the, you know, those the United States government had to go and force them to stop slavery, stop chattel slavery in 1866. Even after the Civil War, it ended way before that, right? So we can't claim to be Cherokee freedmen and Choctaw freedmen because we were not descendants of the people. I mean, maybe you were, I don't know, and maybe part of your lineage was. But and matter of fact, maybe part of mine was too. But I do not identify because I may have had one great great grandparent who may have been enslaved by one of those tribes. But guess what? I got great great grandparents that was Europeans too, through slave master rape, etc. So, but I'm advocating for U.S. freedmen because I'm not trying to get into any of these tribes like that. That's not my goal. I'm not trying to move to Oklahoma and live on a reservation. You know what I'm saying? These freedmen,
They
they
don't
not
even
only
want their freedmen in there.
yeah. So though these tribes have been discriminating against their freedmen, right? The freedmen of those tribes, they've been discriminating against them to the point where they still got Jim Crow going on right now. Like there's still Jim Crow policies against those freedmen right now. And that's what you see these laws were about. It's like ending Jim Crow. Well, us freedmen, we ended Jim Crow already through our civil rights push. So they're kind of just like they were late getting banishing slavery, they're also late getting civil rights from their tribes. Well, I mean, maybe if they had some of our freedmen, and guess what? You see, once again, we whooped the slaveholding tribes, slave masters in the Civil War. We helped to create the freedmen of those tribes. Now you see Maxine Waters, a freedman, going and putting pressure on the federal government to to make them end Jim Crow on them in them native reservations. So I don't know why you think that they're getting like some miraculous tangible benefit. They're getting Jim Crow ended. They're not getting reparations. That like that they still so after let's just say the stuff that you saying that they're getting gets passed. Now they're kind of at the same level that we are. They just get admitted to those tribes and they get just like Jim Crow policies ended. They still got to do a fight for reparations. So we're already ahead of them. That's one thing I
Right.
don't think you understand.
They're like 60 years behind us, bro. 60, 60 some years behind where we are. A lot of people don't realize that us as descendants of freedmen are actually cutting edge in this world. People don't really get how actually cutting edge we really are. We're
I
always
just
looking at what other people are doing and not realizing they're just they're trying to do the stuff that we've already done, trying to catch up.
I just want to say, Josh, thank you, brother. The way you answered that question, I can tell you understood where I was going and why I was asking what I was asking, and I understand. I understand. You laid it out beautifully that those freedmen were enslaved by the natives, and it's a different altogether group within a group. So I just
No
want to say
doubt.
thank
No doubt. No problem.
Indeed. All right, brother.
All
Look,
right, bro.
so it was
You're
it
Peace.
was
welcome.
good having you on. I hope that we can move forward education wise by simply studying a little bit more. Our platform is very, very clear. It's on our website. Our 12-point program is, I mean, it's one of the most comprehensive plans that is out there for our people, in our opinion, of course, because it ties back to this freedman thing of ours that we were cut off from. They cut us off from it, and they aggregated blackness in such a way that everybody could come over here and just be black. And then the set-asides that were for the freedmen that LBJ had authorized started to go to everybody but the descendants of freedmen, which put us in the worst position. That's why I said earlier, it's escapism. We know because we've been there. We've been there. We've talked some of what you talked 10 years ago, brother. What you are witnessing is a progression through the schools of thought to where we're at now. And it took a whole lot of study. I mean, I woke up this morning, my brother Ali was already just putting so much research out, just studying this Freedman history all night. It was basically buried. It was buried. They never wanted to. We brought up in the book, The Bloody Shirt, the last chapter, how they buried Hamburg, South Carolina. And in burying Hamburg, South Carolina, they buried its ruler, basically, which was a freedman whom I read earlier that they called a radical blackamoor by the name of Prince Rivers. None of us had heard of Prince Rivers until last year, not on this platform, and most of our audience until we started reading the Bloody Shirt. You see, brother? So, let's progress with the information. And sometimes it takes a little, a little roughing up, if you will. I know I used to get roughed up all the time. I used to go right on all them platforms, and I used to, until my sword got sharpened. And then, I was able to hang in there just from the Moorish movement alone. I don't know if you know who I am in the Moorish movement, or my brother Ali, for that instance. But we've put in a lot of scholarship over the years for that movement, to whereas a lot of people now you see posting up books and things of that nature. Those are my books that I've written with research help from my brother Ali. Believe it or not, when you see books on Moab, Noble Drew Ali, the Moorish Science Temple of America, and the movement that started it all, I wrote that book. There's several other Moorish books that I wrote. We are just elevating, and all of those different schools of thought brought us to the reality that if we have no political power in this nation, it really doesn't matter if we call ourselves Moors. It really doesn't matter if we call ourselves Hebrew Israelites, 5%ers, if we worship Allah, Yahweh, etc., etc. We have no power. That's the key. That's sitting as that. So trying to identify as a Native American tribe in our eyes is futile, because that's not who we are. Our lineage is special. It's unique, and we have to fight. We have to fight. We have to pick up the fight that we lost that battle. We're in Reconstruction 2.0 right now. And the neo-Confederates, the new Confederates, they're on top of their game. They're in full swing. Most of the stuff that we read from the Bloody Shirt from the 1800s is going on right now at a level that we haven't really seen since the 1800s, or at least the early 50s and 60s, when they were trying to, filibuster the Civil Rights Act and all of those different things. We are different, but the same. We're different in the sense that we've come through all of these different schools. Our warrior spirit has risen up in us, and one of them, Confederates couldn't deal with one of us, which is why they mobbed up in the first place anyway. But this is a new era in time now, brother, and we freedmen must take our place in the affairs of men. And we feel, based on the records, that there's no other name that is even a viable option, because we got the records. The records give us our backing. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I would like to know, what is this? I heard you mention Maxine Waters a couple times. What is your political agenda? Because I'm more of the type of, I don't associate with any party, but I'm for raising up the next youth. I don't care if it's 5 young boys or 100 from within that actually speak for us, represent us, and we a politician that we control, instead of begging these politicians to recognize us that's in office now.
See, your approach is wrong, right? You're saying begging. The politicians don't recognize us as it is. They're ignoring us. They're ignoring our condition. They're ignoring our voices. They're ignoring our plight. So we're going to bring them something that they cannot ignore. And we don't have to beg anybody. We make demands like other people make demands. Other people don't say, when we talk about other groups, you don't hear black folk say, those Asian American Pacific Islanders went and begged the government and got this and got that. Only we talk like that. We believe that it's begging. The government uplifts everybody in this nation. That's where the money at. They hold the purse strings. We always had to chip in our nickels and dimes and pennies, put those together and build, and then they would come and take it. And then a whole new economic system was created, and then they found new ways to box us out. And so, while, like Martin Luther King Jr. said, during the Homestead Act, they were giving millions of acres of land away to immigrants that came over here, white immigrants. While our lands was starting to be slowly
Stolen.
but surely taken from us. Begging? Though they owe us this, brother. This is not begging.
Facts.
You got to break out of that mindset, bro. Look, we grew up disliking this government, hating this government, the authorities, the powers that be, and we understand that because we came through that. We came through that. But right now, we also understand that this is a game of thrones in this house of cards. And without political power, you have no power. Whether you identify yourself as a freedman, a Native American, etc., etc. But the one thing we do know is that the freedmen had political power. That's why I pulled the picture up earlier and showed Hiram Revels sitting there being counsel or counseling those white politicians, and Jefferson Davis being the president of the Confederacy, being jealous of that fact.
Facts.
I just want to say one thing, and I gotta go, gentlemen.
All right.
In 2021, the Freedmen Bureau don't have no power, and today
there is no Freedmen.
There's no Freedmen Bureau.
There is no Freedmen's Bureau.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, so right now, money is power, and it's got to be economics. And with that, brothers, you guys have a good day. I appreciate the time.
Definitely. Peace. Hopefully, the brother could get his thoughts together. He seemed humble. He just staunch in his position, but
yeah,
he seems like one of them brothers that's going to come around eventually.
There's confusion, and see, to me, it goes back to the same critique that we made of Drew Ali and the Moorish movement and Marcus Garvey and the UNIA and the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad. These things have caused confusion in the minds of people. A lot of the rhetoric even of a Malcolm X. You see, it's like we love our ancestors, right? We respect the fact that they were trying to do certain things. But what we're trying to do at this point is redirect people back to the mission, right? Freedom, justice, and equality through civil rights work. This is what it was. This is why A. Philip Randolph had the problem that he had with Garvey. This is why Du Bois had the problem that he had with Garvey, because too many of these people have come and put our people on the path of mission drift. Or like Brother Otis like to say, work avoidance. It's created an atmosphere of work avoidance, right? And so everybody's trying to avoid the actual work of reestablishing what it was that our ancestors had set out to do and trying to finish the work that they started. Everyone wants to avoid that. Oh, no. And then all of this confusion about not asking the government for anything. Yet these are tax-paying citizens of the United States talking about let's not ask the government for anything. Meanwhile, other people are getting those same tax dollars that are needed for their communities and their families, and they're using those tax dollars to make sure that their communities are okay and their families are okay. Meanwhile, you got a bunch of us confused by things that Malcolm X said, confused by things Elijah Muhammad said or Marcus Garvey said or Drew Ali said, and to the point where, we don't want to ask anybody for anything. Yet you're paying taxes. You're paying sales taxes. You're paying employment taxes. You're paying rental taxes when you rent an automobile or something from Home Depot. It's all of these things that you're doing. You're paying taxes every time you go through the tolls on the tunnels and the bridges. You're paying taxes in all sorts of ways, yet you're talking about we shouldn't be asking the government for anything because that somehow is begging. It just doesn't make any sense. It just shows the political immaturity of many of the people based on the confusion caused by a lot of those so-called leaders, man.
That's right. And our sister from Los Angeles just shared an interesting piece with me. I put it in the inbox. The synagogue of the freedmen, right? Like this term is old, right? And I put it in the inbox, and me and the bros gonna pour over this thing, but it shows that this term is representative of a condition, and that condition is the being freed from slavery. And the term libertine is also here as well. Um, this is deep. We're gonna pour over this and look at it, because everything
Yeah, I see the
that's happening,
libertine in there. That's crazy.
everything, you see that, right? Everything that
Yeah.
I said this the other day. I think I said it on Clubhouse yesterday as well. Everything that's happening right now is providence,
I wonder if
right?
the sister realizes that the word libertine is a synonym for the word
Yeah, that's right. That
freedman.
some people don't know that. Some
Yeah.
people don't know that the term libertine is also a synonym for freedman, right? And I
Facts.
just pulled up that term real quick. Like, so when you go to the online etymological dictionary and you type in the word freedman, as you see I have there, the first thing that pops up is the word libertine. Noun, late 14th century, a freedman, an emancipated slave. From Latin libertinus, the condition of a freedman, member of a class of freedmen. From libertus, one's freedman, emancipated person. From liber, free. And we've
Right.
talked about starting our political party, possibly using these names
Yeah.
in
Yeah, we
some
thought about
form.
using libertine. That's a
You
fact.
know, we want to try to build with the family on certain stuff first, because we want to make sure that with like freedmen and reparationists, that's a no-brainer. Like, if people just want to argue against the thing because they feel that it takes away the power from their thing. And this is what happened with us in the ADOS movement. Like, we gonna talk
Yeah.
about it, right? Let's talk about it. And
Where Logic go, man? He was in and out. Came
oh
back
man,
again.
yeah, he just dipped back out. He could be driving through a bad area, but we see that we seen that in the ADOS movement. There was this effort to push us out. We didn't know we was trying to rock with these people, help spread the word about reparation. Somebody from the inner circle that broke away from them, largely because in the inner circle they was trying to devise a scheme to blackball us. I'm like, what? And when you hear it
Craziness, yeah.
after the fact, it's like, man, that's kind of crazy. We
Right. Because
Brother Gerard want to come up real quick.
no doubt. And I think it was crazy for a lot of people too. Like you remember you said it was one cat that called into her show and was telling her, yo, the attack on these brothers, it was different. This shit
That's
was
right.
different. Like it hit, he said his
It
wife
hit
was
different.
crying and all kind of, you know what I'm
That's
saying
right.
about it.
That's
But
right.
that's because the people that were sincere and were genuine and were watching us, that were good of heart, they knew, right? They were feeling the energy from us. They like, yo, these dudes is like family. Like the people were feeling like that. Even in the chat, they was like, yo, this is like a family affair over here. Like you could
Mm-hmm.
come in, you interact with each other. These dudes let you come up on the screen, and you know what I mean. You can come on and talk, and everybody be joking and having fun and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then they be bigging up the leaders of that
That's
hashtag
right.
group and all that. They big them up. They quote stuff and all that kind of shit, man. And it was just like, yo, how do you take something like that and pervert it the way that they did? They took something
Mm-hmm.
that was actually pure and innocent and perverted it and turned it into this disgusting, vile situation, man, out of the blue. It's like we didn't even know. We had just came off of, I think, Sarnetta's or
It was
Garfield's
Garfield.
platform,
Yep. Yep.
going in on behalf of these cats, man. And it's like, then they turned around and was like, yo, man, like it's time to attack these. I'm like, yo, that's crazy, man.
Just
If I'd have known that it was like that, I would have never tried to defend them
that's
people in
right.
any kind of way, shape, or form. Never, man, would I have
That's
done that.
right. And we want to bring it out because there's a lot of people trying to shoot their shots at us, towards us, I should say. Somebody did a post after their little conference, and they was like, "We are not freedmen." Today we had real freedmen come up, and it just shows how ignorance of a cult minded idiosyncratic thought process works, right? In that you don't even know that they got their term freedmen after we got our, you know what I'm saying, name freedmen.
Facts, bro. That's
You see,
sad, man.
it
It's
shows
sad.
And
that
it's not even. It's not.
You broke up, man.
It's not even that they got the name Freedman, right? They got the status, and the actual freeing element came by
Facts.
way of the freedmen themselves. Now, the original
The
freedmen,
American
right?
freedmen.
The American freedmen, right, is the reason why you have a Cherokee freedman or a Creek
that's
freedman.
right.
Because the laws that made them free were the same laws that secured our freedom. When you look into the treaties with the Cherokees and the Creeks and the Choctaw and Chickasaw, and all the requirements in the treaties was that you had to, the provisions, right, the mandates in the treaty said that you had to adopt the language and the intent of the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, right? So in their regard, they forced full membership recognition of the freedmen onto the tribes, right? Because the tribes they took sides with the Confederacy, so they were in open rebellion against the United States as well. You got to understand the history. And so, in order to have a treaty with us, what does a treaty do? It stops warfare. We were in open warfare with these nations who sided with the rebels. You understand? And so those nations also had slaves. They were fighting to protect the institution of slavery, right? With our other family members in those nations held captive as slaves. It was the Freedmen Amendment that was forced in them treaties as mandates to free the slaves of the Cherokees and the slaves of the slave-holding so-called indigenous governments. You understand? They were oppressive governments. They held slaves. We had to force that on them. The same legislation, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, right? So now you have the exact policies that we created, making you free in your and not only that, demanding that your governments give you full membership rights. The freedmen did that for you, right? We changed your status into being freedmen anyway. Our ancestors is how you got free, and I don't even want to do the divide like that, because a lot of our ancestors was captives and held as private property from the Indian governments, right? So we freed our family not only in America, who was locked up in the oppressive, unconstitutional system of chattel slavery here in the American government, but we freed y'all there. We freed our family who was being held as private bondage in multiple governments called Cherokee, Creek, all of that, right? So we are the greatest freedom fighters, civil rights justice reformers ever to have existed. You understand?
Facts.
The freedmen. The freedmen did that. So anyone who looks at the history and says, this ain't something I can get with, what is your, I don't understand why you're here. How could you have a problem with the freedmen history? Frederick
Facts.
Douglass didn't have a problem with it. How can you have a problem with being a reparationist? You understand? Frederick Douglass and John Brown and Harriet Tubman didn't have a problem with it. So when you say that you're on code, what code are you on? Because it ain't the Freedmen Code. It ain't that same code that fueled the abolitionist movement and freed the slaves. It wasn't the same code that Frederick Douglass was talking about, right? It wasn't that same code that Hiram Revels, that Prince Rivers, that Robert Smalls, you understand, that all of these great heroes that we have locked in our history were on code with. Y'all followed messiahs of mission drift, and you've deviated off the freedman path. We're here to bring y'all back on course. You understand? Kicking and screaming. Teaching your people their lineage is like trying to put pants on a mule. You understand? They're going to buck and kick because they think that they know. But you don't know. We're restoring a lost legacy and a lost history. And you have to look at it like that. This is our story. When you talk about the story of the slaves that were traded and brought to America, it evolves into a freedman story because we fought a war, freedmen, for freedom and emancipation. We killed, we died. You understand? We reformed the government under freedmen. You got an avalanche of freedmen history that we're going to go through, of policies, all the HBCU. In fact, the HBCUs that you love so much should be called HFCUs, right? Because they're historically freedmen colleges and universities. You understand? Because when they were setting up the HBCUs, it was under the policies made for the freedmen, the newly emancipated people in the government. You understand? That was their progress and their transition from private bondage to full citizenship. We knew exactly what we needed. We don't need to figure out what is the policy that we need. We knew that there was a wealth gap then. You understand? That's why we had all the land appropriation policies being enacted. We had freedmen societies built all over the country. You understand? We knew we needed what they say we needed most. We needed food, clothes, and money. You understand? Food, clothes, and capital. Those were the initiatives. We needed education. So you had education institutions built specifically for freedmen. We needed protection. So they had the United States military actually protecting the freedmen. You don't get a more defined protected class and category of people than that. The military was sent to protect the freedmen. And we have this on public record, congressional record, and it's not even up for debate. It's just a matter of fact. So what is it about this freedman thing do you really have a problem with? Because I don't understand.
That's right.
It's
Brother
us.
Gerard had yeah, it's us. That's you right, Ali. Brother Gerard had dropped off. We got our brother Prime, aka Macaroni Mac, in the building. What's good, brother?
Mac. You gotta unmute, bro.
Yeah, unmute.
Can y'all hear me?
Yo, what's good, bro?
What up, family? Last night I saw a superhero. He was black. He said, "This is for the streets." Prime Legend is back. Thank y'all for having me on the platform, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the best. Y'all are the best.
Yo, straight up, that was it.
What's good?
Yeah.
It's been a minute, family. Good, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for allowing me on this beautiful Freedmen platform. And let me give a salute to Josh. It was rough at first with the brother. It was rough at first, and it seemed that Josh was able to build with him and get through to him, and that was a beautiful thing. Josh worked his freedman magic on him. That's what's up. We need that.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. That's right, brother.
Honest, bro.
Oh, definitely. Brother Gerard, what's going on, brother, out there in Detroit?
Hey, man, thanks for bringing me up, man. Allow me to speak, man. Yo, I give you all a hell of a lot of props, man, for being as patient as you guys normally are when dealing with people, man. It's quite difficult. I just wanted to speak about, what happened in that clubhouse yesterday and some of the logic that was, or illogical things that were being said. And
it was crazy, wasn't it? It was crazy.
Let's talk about that, please.
Yeah, man. So, I alerted, Naheem to it. I was like, hey, I saw it came up in my feed in Clubhouse. I'm like, okay, wow, this is a direct response after the one that you all held last, yesterday. And then to hear that they actually brought a quote unquote Freedman on stage at the conference this weekend, it's like, wow, so this is like direct salvos and, hits being thrown or what have you. But with some of the things, what was really killing me was the one cat. I think his name was Kevin. I believe he was the one who hosted it.
Yeah, that dude Kevin. Yeah.
Oh my God, he kept saying this stuff about I don't got no Freedman on my paperwork. I'm like, wait. So I started thinking of it. I'm like, you probably don't even. If that's the case, the odds are of you actually seeing your ancestor actually, name being on any record that they were in slavery is also pretty nil as well, because up until 1870, that's when most of our people, got on the census. Prior to that, we were, during the slave records that they would give, because they would get taxed every year. Most likely their names aren't on those records. It's just a person, a name, or maybe the first name, if that, right? And an age, or they'll just have male, female, you know, child or whatever. So if we go off of that logic, then that means you really don't, you know, you won't also, you may not be able to prove that your relative or ancestors were actual slaves, because many slaves' names were never ever recorded in such fashion. Outside of them dealing with the
Hey,
Freedmen's Bureau.
one thing about that, brother, is that, and I'm glad you picked up on that too, because he kept saying, I haven't found Freedmen on my paperwork. That for what, no disrespect to anybody who's been, you know, in prison, but that's that jailhouse institutionalized mentality. When you go to jail, when you get released, they give you a whole bunch of paperwork to come out, right? You got your prison identification number, you got all your documents from your case, you got all this paperwork. See, when you hear people talk, I don't got no paperwork. One, brother, you're not. This is not prison, right? And two, because you can't find it doesn't mean anything, right? That just means you need some help, because the blind can hardly find the things that they're looking for. How can the blind man find what he's looking for unless he has some help, right? And
That's
instead
right.
of asking for help, because I guarantee you I can find it. I guarantee you, if this brother's connected to what he said he's connected to, I guarantee you Naeem can find it. I
That's
guarantee
right.
you Josh and Ali can find it, but the brother don't want to find it. You understand? He's not really looking for it. And because he's not skilled in unearthing and tying and repairing broken lineage, he's given up. And he says, because I can't find it, I don't want it. Not, well, help me find mine, brother. That's what he should have been saying. Well, if y'all found yours, can somebody help me find mine? But he doesn't have the right spirit. He's not sincere about this thing.
That's right.
He's a person who wants to be recognized by a group of people to make him feel like he's something that he ain't. You understand?
That's
You're not
right.
a leader. Clubhouse is not a real place. Do you understand that? Clubhouse is just like being on the phone. House is not a place. It's a phone call that you're having with a lot of people. So now these people have become imaginary activists and on YouTube and on places like Clubhouse. But see, they don't. This is why education is so important, family. Because that brother from the Moorish thing was another example. And education was the problem with most of the movements, right? Not having the proper education. Because education is what messed up a lot of movements. So people get emotionally involved, right? And then they caught up in the emotions of a movement. And then when the emotions die down, they don't have nothing to hold on to, because they never was rooted in the essence of what the movement was about in the first place. So now they're out of data points to regurgitate, because they didn't do none of the research, right? They didn't study none of that stuff. None of them that we're talking about right now brought any new information or any edifying information to the conversation. They just regurgitated.
That's
So
right.
they're now they're out of that. So now they're just like holding on to the old stuff. And so now when refinement is continuing to happen, we're continuously to refine the movement. And when you refine stuff, you're not oftentimes you're not finding new things, you're finding the original way to do things, right? So the Freedmen have the patent on civil rights justice work in America, and the evidence cannot be disputed. We have the patent. We own the patent of civil rights justice work in America.
That's right.
No one has impacted the Constitution the way we have, and this country the way we have. The term freedman is a classification. It's a legal defined category of specific families that were known as freedmen, and that right there encompasses slavery. So if you're saying that you're an American descendant of slavery, okay, what part of the institution did you come from? Because you're not a banknote, you're not money, right? You're a person. So you descended from the actual slaves, the people. But the people's status changed from slave, right? It changed, and the people who escaped, right? Their status was, in their category, was classified as fugitives, right? Unconstitutionally. This is what state governments were calling them, fugitives, right? And they were coming to get our people. Our people fought a war, family, and the bloodiest war in American history. We liberated our people in the South, and we passed landmark legislation, constitutional amendment to change the status of our freed people, whether it was manumission, escape, slavery, because many of our people who achieved freedom legally were still kidnapped and forced into the criminal enterprise of slavery. So when the federal government had to change that language so that this could not happen anywhere in America, and that language was a product of the freedmen, that your status changed, right, from fugitive to freedman. When that's and from slave to freedman. But if you don't know the Reconstruction history, those 7 years of hell and heaven, you won't know how the freedman name and category got
You
lost.
breaking up, bro.
Breaking up, Logic. You breaking
but we're
up.
here to teach it to you.
Yeah, you was breaking up, bro.
I guess it will make sense, since it's called Clubhouse, that we would have jailhouse mentalities from Negroes who don't know what the hell they talking about.
Indeed. Indeed. And you know, it was
Yo,
crazy
am I
last night.
still breaking up?
No.
You good.
I just want
hear 'em.
I just want to make one clarifying statement. Like I said before, we don't have no problem. This is not we're not punching down on brothers who've been to institutions, the prison institutions. One of our leaders, Brother Ibrahim, is public about his time in prison, and he's one of the most educated freedmen and one of the most badass freedmen out here right now. And so we don't have a problem with anyone who's been in the institution. But if your mind's been institutionalized, you have to deinstitutionalize that mind, right? And understand what you're trying to do and accomplish in this space, because a lot of that stuff does hurt you. But I just want to clear that up. We don't have a problem with you going to the institution. Most of us gonna have people that have been through that.
That's a Freedman fact. Proceed.
And then, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Gerard. Go ahead, Gerard.
So, and another thing that what I saw, a tactic that I think that they're going to take. This truck just came by. I apologize for that. Another tactic. I forgot the one sister that kept, conflating the Freedmen's Bureau with the Freedmen's Bank, and then stating, well, not all of our people dealt with the Freedmen Bureau, or not all of our people, could have lost money with the Freedmen Bank. And so, it was like, it was obvious they did not have any understanding of the term that you just laid out, the status of, hey, you were a slave at one point, then you became, and then as a result of being freed, whether all that got, the ones that got done through Emancipation Proclamation, or those who went manumission. I mean, because you understand, there's a lot of free Black people living in the South prior to the Civil War. I mean, New Orleans and Charlotte was the largest populations of free Black people in the South. So, this term freedman is again, like you guys just been proven, is just a long-standing fact. It's a term. I thought of the analogy. Well, would you say because someone doesn't have a social security number, are they not American? Because it's conceivable that someone may never file for their social security number. But does that take away, if they were born in the United States, would that take away the fact that they're American? No,
that's right.
It wouldn't. So it's just very simple, things that, like you said, that these people are ignorant, and unfortunately, it follows to this trope that usually the fanatics that follow people who hero worship and so on and so forth, they are of the not educated class, or at least they're not of the class that cannot think openly and critically, because those are usually your staunchest supporters for a particular, idol worship of a figure or what have you. And that's it was clear on display yesterday how they were, hey, we rolling with ADOS because that's what got us here. You know what I mean? Like, what?
And the person, that person don't even rock with them. That was the crazy part. She got all of them blocked. These people they bugged out.
Right.
They're trying to be stars, and we got to call them out. We got, like, you had dudes that was threatening me last night. I mean, come on, bro. Like, this, I said that we call that phone gangsterism. We don't do all of that. I mean, we could talk greasy to each other all we want. When we see each other, that's when things.
It's a whole nother story when they see you.
That's when things change.
Yo, check it out too, right? This is the other thing, right? First and foremost, and when we say educate yourself, we're not talking about in the classic academic sense that you didn't have to went to some institution in order to be well versed and knowledgeable in this discussion. But you do have to be well read, though. You can't really be equipped to have this conversation if you're not well read, because you're only going to get this information if you read, right? You have to do your due diligence, right? And read. A lot of y'all just not well read on the subject, but you're loud and ignorant on it. Like the Davenport brother. We got to talk about this Davenport brother,
Davenport,
right?
Yeah, put him on blast.
Get him.
He need to be put on blast.
Out of his way. He went out of his way to say, "Well, I couldn't find Freedmen in the New York Times." Another blind nigga that can't find shit. He's blind, but he wonder why he can't find anything. We spent 1 second on. We didn't spend a second on the New York Times, and we found an unnumbered, infinite amount of Freedmen articles and documents going all the way back to the 1800s about Freedmen that the New York Times has covered. Hey, so you didn't even look. You're just making these loud, ignorant proclamations trying to deceive the people.
Yo, Naheem, go ahead and share that. Share that joint, that picture. That video.
Oh, okay. All right. So first, this what we did, y'all. Yeah. We went on the New York Times website, and we simply really keyword. Brother Josh keyworded Freedmen in the New York Times. I mean, I can't even tell you how many articles came up. This is one of them, though, right? This is just one of them. And I tagged this dude, Daniel Davenport, who since we made him delete his Twitter page, y'all. Dude. He deleted his Twitter. But the funny thing is he's trying to fight against us for the hashtag group and usage, and he got Freedmen right there in the title. And I guess he thought this was gonna somehow erase his digital signature, but the gods don't like ugly. The gods don't like ugly.
That's right.
So and I basically said this is why Be the Power and the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen is like the woo. We ain't nothing to F with. Now the gentlemen now are pulling up every New York Times
BTP ain't nothing to fuck with. You understand?
Let's get it. Come on.
BTP ain't nothing to fuck with.
Fuck the algorithm. Let's go.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. Hold on, bro. Look, this is so important, right? This brother was on Clubhouse going crazy about how I can't find this. Like what the line he was riding. I guess this was his hot bar. I can't find Freedmen in the New York Times. I can't find Freedmen in the New York Times.
I can find ADOS. He kept saying I can find ADOS, but I can't find Freedmen.
Yeah, but he exposed himself further because he kept talking. And family, sometimes all you got to do is allow these people to talk long enough and they'll expose themselves. All he was looking for, he was like, I'm about to get this check. I'm about to get this yada, yada, yada money. We're going to get this thing. So all he's doing is saying, what brand can I monetize to make some money off of?
That's right.
That's all he's concerned with. So it's like, oh, if it hits a certain signature in the New York Times, I can make some money because it's a hot topic right now. So I'm not here for anything to further the movement or to in pursuit of justice. I'm here to get my shit off. That's all Brother Davenport said.
Now that's what you call a grifter. That's what you call a grifter.
A small petty swindler. That's what grifting is. A grift is a small petty swindle. So he's a small petty man, and you can see small and petty. He deletes his whole Twitter account. What kind of coward, spineless man is that? You're not built to be debating the Freedmen.
What was his name? Davenport?
Daniel Davenport.
Coward. Daniel Davenport, you're a coward. You're a coward.
That's right.
Was that the one that he kept saying he was making a mistake saying your name? He kept calling you Baba instead of Abba.
Yeah, that was him. That was him.
Yeah.
And he also kept trying to say that the Freedmen, that's the Cherokees thing. See, that's loud ignorance at its finest. We kept rebuking him in all of his foolishness, saying you can't have a Cherokee freedman or an indigenous freedman category if you don't have an American freedman category, because we're the origin story of freedmen in America. You understand? And so he kept trying to say that, but he's loud and ignorant, and he has there's a lot of loud ignorance on Clubhouse. But I told y'all a couple of days ago, we back through that joint. When you come through here and do your clubs, you're gonna have to be right and exact, because you don't know when we gonna pop up, and we gonna make sure you're right.
Let's get it. Let's go.
If y'all
blind Negro who's wrong and strong.
If y'all can see in the lower right-hand corner of this little screen share, these are the numerous articles that was Josh was scrolling through last night of Freedmen in the New York Times. So those of you who are listening in from Clubhouse right now, those of you who are listening in from Clubhouse that was listening to that lying snake oil salesman lie to you and say that we can't find Freedmen in the New York Times. We have countless articles. See, these people are just like the Confederates, just like my brother Logic said earlier. They are trying to find a way to disconnect us from our ancestry because they want to push their brand or their name brand, because they feel
their brand of work avoidance.
That's right. That's what that is. Shout out to the OG Otis, man. Work avoidance.
Otis, what up? The legions of work avoidance warriors. All they do is to complain about how sorry they are. We can't find it. I can't find, because you're not a guy that finds shit. You don't know what you're doing. And all that is a proclamation of ignorance and inexperience. And only reason why we have to chastise you is because you got out your body and try to lead the people and you don't even know where you're going, right? So just get out the way, brother. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. We're here to teach you. But willful ignorance is a sin. You understand?
Right. Get it.
So
come on.
We know you can't find it because we know you can't find it because you ain't been talking about it. But we can find it. So do the wise thing is go to the brothers who have been fortunate enough to be blessed. We're the ones who can find it. We will find it for you. You understand?
That's right.
So another blind Negro who's wrong and strong.
Yeah.
Facts.
Strong and being wrong. Strong and being
wrong and strong. Shit.
But I think it was purposeful, man, because he said his background was in communications and so on and so forth. Right. He was very slick. And that's what it seems to be, because he kept on applying or kept on, saying, well, we don't know what, Lord Abba's doing over there with the Freedmen movement. Maybe you all might have, a communications plan and so on and so forth.
A PR person.
And all of this. Because that was basically where he was trying. It was a little slight. He was being nice, but he was, you know what I'm saying? But that's
right. You know what I mean? He must work for CNN, the Caucasian Nazi news network, who be propagandizing this shit.
He was doing sneak disses and so on and so forth. But basically, in essence, what I got from it was that they basically saying, well, y'all are throwing us. We're going, us people using Freedmen or any other designation is impacting their ability to influence, lawmakers and so on and so forth. That's what I ultimately got from that. It's like, but the thing, just like Miss Battle just pretty much said, man, ADOS is dead, has been dead. You know what I mean? It has a negative connotation amongst people. Most people don't. No, they don't want,
the people who didn't know, that was listening and paying attention, the people who spearheaded that legislation were in the club group, and they came and set the record.
That's right.
And a lot of y'all missed it.
That's right. Yo, so hold on, bro. Shout out to Sister Tiffany Quarry.
Where Tiffany at, man? Put Tiffany on the phone, man.
The room was called what was it called? We in Cali are using ADOS, not Freedmen. Get back on code or some nonsense like that. So they try to make it seem like that legislation that the assembly, who doesn't rock with ADOS anymore, put together, they are somehow influencing. So, and I kept saying, Sister Tiffany is on the stage. At first, she was in the audience. I was like, but now she's on the stage. I just want to hear what the sister got to say. The sister got right up there and said, we don't use ADOS. no more. Then they start attacking us. Then they said, well, we're going to have 200 people call in saying ADOS, yada, yada. So basically, these people are so weak that they can't come up with anything. So what they're going to try to do is take credit for the groundwork that stellar group out there in California, particularly Los Angeles. I think there's a couple of them in the Bay Area. Shout out to brother Chris Lodgson. Shout out to brother Chad as well. Sister Friday. They're going to, this is what I was hearing last night. They were going to take credit for the work that the assembly put in. Ain't that
I mean, they were also talking about they were going to steal the name. They said we taking the name ADOS from Tone and Yvette. They taking it from them. So basically, what they're letting you know is that Tone and Yvette has already cut these people off.
That's
they're
right.
not even fucking with them like that.
ADOS is in shambles. Shambles. Get your house in order. Get your house in order.
Get your house in order, B.
Get your house in order. Peter Guns.
Yo, check this out, right? Check this. Yo, check this out, right? Check this out, though. They said, look at the behavior. See, you have to psychoanalyze everybody in this space. They were acting just like a white mob, like an angry white mob. That's how they were acting. You understand? They said
every time
that,
every time somebody would come in and be like, well, look, brothers, Logic, Naheem, and Ali, and BTP, these are like the most educated brothers on this whole app, especially in this space. They would shout them down and then kick them off. Even people that they rocked with. One of the
people that they rock with. It was crazy.
They just shouted her down.
Look at what they did. Look at what they said they was going to do to the people. So they go from celebrating, right, and glorifying this state legislation, right? This is Sister Tiffany, who was one of the ground engineers of that legislation, right? Who fought tirelessly to get it where it is today. Soon as she made the clarification, they said, well, we're going to destroy it. We're going to come in.
That's right.
They basically said, fuck her and what she did. We don't care about that. Right. We don't have respect for nobody but our mob mentality. That's all we respect is our mob mentality. They said, we're going to organize manpower to call in and go against y'all. So now you're going to create opposition to the very people who produced the legislation that you're trying to promote in the first place. Only mad people do that. That's the workings of a madman. You understand?
Confederatized minds.
Facts.
Yes.
Confederatized minds.
That's Confederate. That's that Confederate energy right there.
That
they don't even know.
Babble.
That's right. That's bloody shirt babble. They acting like bloody shirt proponents. You know?
Yeah,
it's crazy. You have to understand these people, man.
They did Brianna dirty. She was being real nice and easy, trying to present it, in a nice, affectionate kind of way. They was like, man, get the fuck out of here, man. They did a mad dirty and shit.
And they tried to act like they had all this decorum and respect and honor, but then like you let the sisters talk. But soon as the sisters, right, said something that they didn't agree with, they treated the sisters like shit. I'm like, what's going on? Y'all just tried to play like y'all, because it was one of y'all sisters who was promoting y'all propaganda, because that's what it was. It was like white mob Confederate propaganda in blackface. It was crazy, right? And so so soon as sisters like Bree, sisters like Tiffany, anybody came up with, and they was coming with the most humble, most intelligent tone, they was throwing them into the back into the crowd, dragging them, calling them all kind of names. I'm like, this is the behavior, and this is y'all want people to follow that? You understand? And Brother Naheem was like a champion archangel in that space last night. And he was, because
you gotta hit him with the grim.
You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't let none of the other freedmen get on deck, right? They kept kicking me off. They kept kicking Ali off, right? They wouldn't let us get in and engage. Naheem stood tall, right? And he was giving it in the best of light. And he said the problem is you can't refute anything we're saying. You can't argument, and so you want to go to the ignorant argument, right? The uncivilized argument, right? And you really can't win there either. You guys are in a lose-lose situation, and you're stuck there your own willful ignorance, man. Don't be like them people, family. Right? Honor your ancestors and your forefathers, man. You are what they are, without doubt or contradiction, man. We're freedmen, man.
That's right. And they couldn't even mount legitimate arguments. It was a bunch of sisters in there. I can't even remember their names off top of the head. There was a bunch of sisters in there talking a bunch of nonsense, and I kept trying to say, and they kept muting me and booting me off the stage. But somebody up there who was a moderator kept bringing me back up on the stage. Then they finally figured out who it was, and they kicked that person off of the stage. It's, you know, I don't know if they took their status or they just kicked them off the stage. I can't remember. But, you know, I kept at, like, basically for the name of a cult, y'all would deny all of this history. One of the sisters that came in, this sister named Chanita, came in our clubhouse room last week and tried to challenge us. Then she tried to challenge me in the inbox on Facebook about this term freedman. And she brought up Frederick Douglass, and we brought this up earlier, and I want to bring this letter back up for those of you who may have just joined a little bit later. This is a portion of a handwritten speech written by Frederick Douglass himself, called the Freedmen. Called the Freedmen. What are you people talking about? What are y'all talking about?
They just saying something to say something.
That's right. It's not even a debate. It's not a debate, man.
Facts.
People don't even see. People just what I find is like people don't like research stuff. They just think of things of like, okay, well, I think this is how it was, you know, based off of contemporary circumstance, and you know, and they just, you know, they just think things and like, oh yeah, and then they just say just inaccurate things. Now you should, like, before you make that claim, you should have probably Googled, you know, Freedman and Frederick Douglass, and then been able to, like, you know, but you know, because they've never seen it, you know, linked in their zeitgeist. So it's like, oh no, you know, he ain't never used it, you know. But
look, hey, brother Gerard, we had to clean up the cult leader one time on a Twitter thread because she was talking about reparationists. You know, that's not a term. That's some Afro term.
I remember that.
Me and brother Ali went right on that thread, cleaned her up real nice. You know, so she knew right then and there that we, you know, these guys are not to be trifled with, man.
Right.
And that's the energy that we bring to the space, and that we try to get everybody on. Like, we are not to be trifled with. As a group, our freedmen ancestors had to fight oppression from so many sides. The one thing that they didn't have to fight was, well, not in any great degree that we've been able to pull up, was coons and sellouts and grifters and liars that was trying to go against the things that we're trying to do. See, everybody free now, so now everybody's just trying to get a slice of the pie. Whoever got the pie, they're trying to get a slice of it. So it don't matter what the group is. It could be Democrats and all of their little sub branches. It could be the right wing and the conservatives and all of their little sub branches, which puts us in a unique position. It grounds us, number one, in the footprints of our forefathers. That's number one. Number two, it gives us way more targets that we got to shoot at and hit and knock down on our way to fulfill the justice that's needed for our people. And we shouldn't have to do that. We didn't have to bring up any of this stuff. But once we started seeing all of the quotes coming out from this little conference, we're not freedmen. Oh, well, these are direct attacks. And the fact, again, let me stress, y'all brought a freedman of one of the, I think it was a Choctaw freedman, on stage, and then put out a tweet that said we had the real freedmen speaking, without knowing that they became freedmen after we became freedmen. Shows the ignorant state of mind that you're in and the cult-like mentality that you live by.
After and because of.
That's right. That's right. OG Otis said, how could you reform a movement based off of follow and swallow? And I throw a chair, you throw a chair. Hashtag digital footprints. Straight
Yeah,
like
man.
that.
That's when as soon as I seen the follow and swallow thing, I was like, yeah, that's an
Mm-hmm.
LGBT movement, man. I don't know what
Yeah,
they talking about, man.
yeah, yep.
I ain't rocking with that shit.
Yep. We told them the last time, don't throw chairs this way. We pick chairs up and then beats ass with them. Don't do it. But some people, what our mothers used to say, a hard hand make a what?
Soft
Soft
ass.
ass.
Yep.
You know? So yeah, man. Look, we had a dope discussion today. We had a brother come on. The brother seemed like he's searching, and sometimes it be like that. We get so caught up in our ideology that we're in at the moment that we don't really hear the other side. And sometimes in having a direct conversation as opposed to having Twitter, run on battles and all of that stuff, it's better when we can have conversations with each other. It's just like, a matter of fact, I'm going to call a name. I would love to see a policy debate between Yvette Carnell and my brother Logic. Democratic down ballot versus the Freedmen strategy. Let's call for it. Let's put it in the ethers. Then if y'all want to dead the beef after that, we can do that. We can do that. But let's have if that's y'all's man, if that's y'all's woman, right? Then let's have the battle. Let's have a policy debate. Yvette Carnell versus Dr. Logic Supreme. Democratic down ballot versus the Freedmen strategy. Just put it out there. That's all. And then we ain't got to do no more of the back and forth stuff.
Man, you trying to have a pissing contest, you know what I'm saying? Who rocking the best chopper suit and all that. I know what you're trying to do, man.
Man, but there's no competition. Like,
there's
but listen,
no competition.
Even in that sense, right? When it comes to this politics, right? She's a commentator, and I don't even want to really focus on her but we gotta focus on her a little bit because she's responsible for a lot of the foolishness. You know what I mean? You gotta be responsible in this space, man. We're adults. You gotta be responsible. You understand? You gotta be responsible. You gotta have some accountability. And if your people are calling you to represent these political ideas in an intelligent arena, the responsible thing to do is come out there like everyone else did. Palmer come out and represent their ideas. King has come out and represent ideas. Philip A. Randolph, Clayton Powell, everybody in the line has to come out and represent these ideas. They even done it in group discussions with people who disagree. Malcolm X sat down with them and talked to the president. So you have to. That's just part of what we do, right? We have to sit down and have these philosophy talks. Right? These philosophical disagreements, these political disagreements, that's how you get people on board, right? But if you don't want to have those discussions because you're afraid that you might have the inferior position, then then get out the way. Just say that and get out the way because you're holding up progress. You understand? She has been inflated, right? She can't defeat the Freedman argument because it's unfuckwittable. Nobody can defeat it. You should just all get with it. That's not an ego thing because it has nothing to do with me. I didn't create it. I just understand it. I just took the time to research it and study it. It's not mine. None of us created it. This is glory goes to our ancestors. If I have to go to battle for this Freedman thing against anybody, whether it be her or anybody, it's to defend our ancestors' legacy. It ain't got nothing to do with logic. You understand? I'm just an instrument. You feel me? To get this legacy done, to save the people, the Freedman nation. You understand? And if she wants to stand or anyone wants to stand in the way of that, that's your problem, not mine. I just do the work. You feel me? And you'll just have to get the work.
Now, Naheem already invited all of them to come on, any of them to come on last night. Nobody accepted it. The room had like 100 and something people in it, man. Nobody accepted, like, yo.
They just start cursing.
We had our room. Y'all was welcome in our room. Y'all had your clubhouse room. We came in. They wouldn't even let me speak. As soon as I started to speak, they moved me right to the back, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, yo, let's have a live discussion on YouTube. That way we could present actual facts, right? We could present all of the documentation, the historical records and all that stuff. Nah, nobody wanted to do it. Over 100 something people, not one of them would accept. week, man.
Yep. I was trying to pull up something to read, but I wanted to get into one of the bills, and for whatever reason I can't pull it up. One of those bills, Freedmen bills from 1866, where, you know, because some people have this mistaken idea that this Freedmen thing was limited to only those who fought in the war. That
Oh
redress
man,
was
that's
only
crazy.
the redress. Let me say the redress was only limited to those who fought in the war, and it's in one of the bills, and I can't pull it up at the moment for whatever
Which
reason.
bill number is it?
I can't remember.
Yeah, oh man, all right.
It's not House Resolution 29, and it's not
I know
House.
Josh remembers.
It's let me see. It's 173. I think it's the HR 152 or something like that. It's that bill, but I can't pull that one up. And I wanted to read that because in that proposal, that proposed bill, it spoke about all former slaves, the male head of households receiving certain monies in certain lands. If there was no male head of household, the female head of household, the female freedman head of household would receive those monies in that land. Like this is, you can't defeat it. You can't defeat it. You can't win the argument with us. This is not bragging or none of that stuff, but it's just we got the records on our side. How do you defeat it? You can't.
Yeah, we're gonna have to find it and present it on the next next program or something.
Definitely.
I know which one you're talking about too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I gotta go, family man. Again, you know, we done BETHEPOWER, freedom, fighting freedmen, you know, reparationists, you know, and so we gonna be bringing you this Freedom University education every time you see us in any space you meet us. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Clubhouse, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, in the streets, we gonna be here for you, family. Freedmen first. You know what I mean? And the only way we can win, and the only way we can truly achieve reparation, it got to be Freedmen over everything. You understand?
That's the fact. Freedmen versus everybody. Stop playing. Yo, so look, man.
It's always been that way. It's always,
that's right.
It's not
it's
because
always
of us.
Been that way.
It's always been that way.
That's right. That's right. So look, fam, we're going to close this thing out, man. We came through to just have a discussion. Oh, got people. I was hoping that some people would pull up. Like we went right in their group last night. BTP did. Right? We challenged them because we got to clean house first, and we can't have these stragglers and cult hanger-oners trying to disrupt and distract from what we're trying to do. Like it's just as simple as that. And I just really don't rock with most of them people at all. I ain't gonna put some of them on blast right now, but I think some of them know that I don't rock with them. I don't. I don't like how they move. They're trying to be clubhouse sensations and put themselves in the center of something while boxing out all of the scholarship and the real breakdowns on the issue of reparations that have been done. You know, I say something like on a tweet like 2 months ago, 40 acres in a Ford F-150, because the F-150 is a work truck and the mule was a work animal. Next thing you know, people come up with some other stuff. We say one thing, people come up with, it's like it's always somebody trying to counter what we're doing and saying so that they could be at the forefront, because they really say, we really don't want to do nothing. And because them brothers seem serious about doing something. We just want to be stars on social media or whatever it is. Now, man, listen. Listen, brother Ali, you got anything? No, matter of fact, brother Gerard, you got anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
Hey man, it got to be 40 acres in a Chevy Silverado, man. You know,
something like that.
Yeah, I work for GM. I got to plug
you
GM,
got to plug
man.
GM.
Oh, no doubt.
Or GMC Sierra. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, anyways, nah, man. You know, we have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. And that's what I always close out with the Freedmen's Collective show. man, we got to definitely build. We definitely need to, start bringing all of our chapters together and really moving, man. Because I really didn't like how my man was trying to sneak this as if we not doing anything on the political scale. Like we're not doing anything, like we're not reaching out and trying to talk to legislators, and we don't have plans or what have you, and so on and so forth, man. So we definitely need to show improve and get people involved, man. Like I was saying at you all's clubhouse, I had spoke this Saturday, was asked to speak because we're our group here in Michigan, we're trying to get the message out, right? Obviously COVID slowed everybody down, and but we're having an impact. We're meeting with other like-minded individuals in other groups, and we're spreading the word. And that's just basically we got to do, man. We got to get our faces out there, our organizations out there, hitting the pavement, hitting the people, man, and getting it out because we got all of this disinformation going on, and we need to be combating it and hitting it hard just as they are. So, but outside of that, thanks for bringing me up, brothers. Appreciate you, giving me a platform.
Glad to have you on, man. I'm glad you came on, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
No problem.
Same here, brother. Brother
All right,
Ali, you got anything you want to say before we get off air?
Yeah, I just want to say peace to everybody who tuned in. Gratitude. We appreciate that. We never don't appreciate it. We always appreciate it. And we're just gonna keep pushing, man. Coming soon, y'all gonna see a bunch of things out of the New York Times. So all of this stuff that we done pulled up, all that stuff is gonna get posted. So I mean, because at the end of the day, we have to start suppressing and pushing these particular narratives back, because they're only designed to try to stop the natural progression, which is people realizing that name or that status of freedman is something that needs to be dealt with. It has to be reckoned with. Period.
That's right.
That's it. So I say peace to everybody. Peace.
That's right. Hey, if anybody got any skills with websites, hit us up. Go to the website usadof.org. Send a message there. The direct email is freedmen@usadof.org. BTP livecast@gmail.com. If you do graphics or anything like that, we are building, we're taking our websites to another level. And if you got the skill, because we're gonna go to somebody on Fiverr. So if you got the skills, we'd rather build with our people and pay y'all what we was gonna pay somebody on Fiverr. It's just simple upgrades, nothing major, but we want to move our platform from off of the platforms that we're using right now. So if you got any skills in that regard, any graphic skills, holla at us. And I'll leave y'all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.